if you ever got any doubts about these, we do courses all the time, workshops on technical analysis, risk management, trading plans, anything to do with trading. It's our passion, it's our industry. We're happy to help you. As I say, we run all these courses, masterclasses, etc., and workshops. Now, okay, so let's have a look at the Dow. The stocks did recover last week. So this is the daily, as you can see, pretty much a steady week all week, even with NFP being so high on Friday, and the expectation that the Fed are going to, definitely, it's always a bad word in trading, isn't it? They're going to be putting rates up, but by how much? It's looking like 75 at the moment basis points. Could be 50. Maybe they could stretch it to 100. Who knows? We're going to have to wait and see. They're going to see a little bit more data before they need to make that decision. And just remember, when the central banks meet, although we get the announcement for the Fed the Wednesday, Bank of England, ECB on the Thursdays, those meetings generally last 2 days. It's just we always focus on the last day because that's when we get the results that are going to impact the markets. So on the Dow, slight downtrend there. Just remember the black lines there are giving you the levels. Sorry, the black numbers. There's not too much change in these. What's good for one is pretty much good for all of them at the moment when it comes to the stock markets, especially the US ones, which I'll focus on here. And the Dow Jones, this is on the 30-minute. So as you can see, again, coming back to the pivot points that I mentioned for the trading tip this week, the blue line's the pivot. So the red line above is R1. First resistance level, and see how it's just held within that for the whole session. So it's they can be useful. I use them all the time. This is the S&P daily. Not too many levels on there. Got a resistance level. Got a couple of resistance levels and a support level there, of course. It's going to, again, we're just going to have to wait and see how this week goes with CPI coming out. It should start to form the next sort of reasonable move, shall we say. S&P 30-minute. Again, the pivots are on there, and you can see it sort of hugged that pivot point level for a lot of the session, rejected it, popped through 2 or 3 times, but it couldn't hold below there. And it sort of tried to get up to test R1, didn't quite make it. Again, we're just going to see an interesting week this week with CPI coming out, because that's really potentially going to cement what the Fed's going to do. So, NASDAQ. So NASDAQ daily. Similar sort of thing, and got a support and resistance in there, another resistance higher up. So and then on the 30-minute, similar sort of thing, it tried to break through the pivot after the data and all that. It didn't really have much success. The buyers came back in and kept it above the pivot point for the rest of the session. Here's the Russell. Remember, these are the small and mid cap. Nasdaq's the tech stocks. Dow Jones is the top 30 industrial stocks, and then we have the S&P, which is the top 500 stocks in the US. So here we're looking at the Russell. Again, a couple of resistance levels in there and a support level. All the stock markets, especially, all the US-based ones, pretty much track each other. At times they will move, some will move faster than others. It really just depends on the data that's coming out. We're coming into earnings now as well, because obviously we've finished the second quarter. So just keep an eye out for the earnings, because that's going to start to impact these stocks as well. Is the Russell 30-minute, again, just highlighting the way that it's held within those two. The pivot point and resistance one for the session. Moving on to cable, so the pound against the US dollar. I just can't see anything positive for the pound at the moment. I'm in the UK, we've got high inflation, we've got unhappy trade unions that are striking. we've got a prime minister that's on his way out, and of course, who knows who's going to replace him? There's lots of them lining up to do that, and will that be a good move or a bad move? Hopefully they're going to start focusing on the economy and start doing something positive, because we haven't been seeing very much of that in recent years. All the focus has been on COVID, but there's more to life than just COVID. Mentioning that, there has been an uptake in the numbers of COVID in many countries now. So, is this going to be a fresh wave that's coming through? And of course, is it going to sort of change its format again, mutate into something stronger, or hopefully something weaker? Pound against dollar on a 30-minute. So, it's the pound is holding up quite well, I would say, really, but I just can't see it surviving. I can't see it staying there. As I say, there's just not anything positive in the UK at the moment. Here we've got the euro against the USD as a weekly. And emphasis, this is a weekly. I have to do it like this at the moment to get all the data on there, so you can see, where the euro against the dollar's come from the day of its inception to the big rally, to obviously all this big sell-off as well. And we're sort of hovering at the moment. It's looking, is it going to trade at par against the dollar? I'm not sure, but there's a lot of economists expecting it to do that now. And again, there's not a lot of good sort of positive things coming out for Europe at the moment. It just all seems to be America, America, and America. Is the 30-minute, so got a little bit of an uptrend line in there, but obviously it's only on the 30-minute, so that could break as soon as markets reopen. And there's the resistance level there as well. So here's Bitcoin. So remember I said to you in the legend about the brown levels being breakout. So I've identified that. Obviously it's away from the market at the moment. That's at 27,350. But it's tracking the stocks, which you'll see shortly. And it's nice to see that it's got back above 20,000 rather than the doom and gloom and seeing it sort of on its way to 15 or 10. But let's just see. For me, a little bit of it is people been releasing some of their money just to pay bills, food bills, living bills, in general. Because they're not receiving enough money, and inflation's just taking what they are receiving. So that that's one of the reasons that I see. Obviously, a little bit of confidence went from some of the sort of stable coins as well. What went on there? So there was 2022 was always going to be one of those years where crypto could go either way. So at the moment, it doesn't look good, but let's wait and see where it's going to finish at the end of this year. We've still got a very interesting 5-6 months to go. This is Bitcoin on the 30-minute. So there's your couple of support levels in there. Not really a resistance level that I've found that was worth putting in for the moment. So that's just sort of set like that for the moment. So this is what I mentioned earlier about, the Bitcoin and NASDAQ correlation. And you could just see that, okay, it's a loose correlation. It's not perfect. It's not point for point. But you can see that relationship is there the way they're moving, especially when you look at the most recent data as well. Gold. So gold had a bad week. Gold just sold pretty much. It had a bounce, a little bit of profit taking on Friday, obviously with the data and people just covering their shorts for the weekend. So it closed around about 1741. Again, we're just going to have to see where that opens. Are the sellers going to keep coming back in, or are we going to start to find some more buying coming in now? I'm Not too sure why gold's had this sell-off. You know, okay, with stocks going up, you could say it's risk on, so you know, people are exiting their gold positions that they had for where they felt a little bit safer. Or you know, maybe it was the big sale that went through with Russia selling to, I'm not sure if it was the Swiss government or within Switzerland, but there was tons of gold that was sold there the other week, so maybe that had an impact on the market. As I say, I'll be honest, I'm just not too sure about why. And here again, so I've got the support level in further away. You know, it came down, it tested S2, you know, which again would have been a good buying opportunity if you'd sort of seen it and maybe felt that it wasn't going to keep going at the time. You know, it's always so easy when you look at charts and just go, oh yeah, I could have bought there, I could have sold there. But, you know, at the time, it's always different, isn't it? And then, you know, after that, it went all the way up and went through resistance one, almost started to get closer to R2 before it came back. And where did it settle for the rest of the session? Back at the pivot point. So again, you know, just have a look at these pivot points. You know, if you can do some back testing, try and work out your own strategy. If you want to come on one of my courses, I'll share mine with you. WTI daily. So here's the WTI on a daily. So they had a sell-off. You know, it came from higher prices, bounced back up, finished sort of probably mid-range of the week. And you know, as you can see there, it's a $20 range as far as I can see for the moment. 95s up to 115. Closed around about 105. That doesn't mean that it's going to stay there. Obviously, it's going to depend on, you know, how people interpret what's going on with supply and demand for oil. You know, the US are in the driving season now, so is that going to create a lot of demand for gasoline? And if it does, you know, is the supply there? Is there a shortage? Inventories was reasonable. There was a build last week, so you know, I just don't really see the shortage at the moment that makes me want to buy oil. But of course, you just got to be cautious with selling it as well. It's a volatile contract. I've got my own strategies. I've got my own technique for trading oil. I used to be a market maker for both the exchanges, liquidity provider, so I do know oil quite well. So, you know, it's probably one of my main products. Here's oil on the 30-minute. So again, it just held within that pivot point to R1 for the whole session. And there I put a couple of levels on. And tomorrow, well, later today really, we'll see where it opens, and then we will get back into the trading. Again, you know, just be careful with oil because of that volatility. You know, sometimes you have to reduce your size to allow for that extra volatility. Okay, well, that's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's given you a little bit more insight. As usual, just finish off with a little bit about us, Symax Fintech, and our services. We do a daily newsletter, which includes the fresh chart levels and these pivot points. You get them straight to your inbox. So you can sign up for that if you want to. If you want to learn more about trading, we provide workshops, just one-day workshops. We do 1-week courses and we do 4-week masterclasses. However, the 4 weeks do not have to be all taken at once. It really depends how deep you want to get into this. And of course, we cover every asset class and calendars underneath there. Trader mentoring. So, you know, maybe you just need a little bit of help just to get to that next level. We can do that. And we do a massive consulting to a variety of different types of companies, whether it's on hedging or whether it's educational content to exchanges and brokers. Contact details, there's the info, and below that, I have added my email there in case you've got any questions that you would like to direct personally to me. I hope you've enjoyed that. Best of luck with your trading this week, and hope to see you again next Monday. Best of luck. Bye for now.